Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Is it hot at your house?
Are
your pots dead? Welcome, I'm John Callahan, the Garden Guru. Welcome to our show. This is John Callahan. I'm the Garden Guru, and thank you for checking it out and taking the time at my spot. This is a little podcast about how we got started. I'm the Garden Guru because when we get done a project, it usually looks like a good haircut because it's been there for a long time. And I kind of work with people's lifestyles and what they're trying to create in their environment for their home. So, sometimes I work with people for a year before we put a plant or a hardscape in, just to get an idea of how they're living. So I'll pop in from time to time and discuss what their future projects are, just to get an idea of how they live so that we can then design an environment around their lifestyles and how they live. A lot of times contractors come in and they just do what they're told and they don't understand that their customers are busy and they don't want to really have people around their homes indefinitely and with high maintenance projects and spend mortgage payments on top of what they're already spending in a mortgage payment. So we kind of work with, try to really put together an installation that's going to really kind of overlay who they are as people. So, and the plants have to resonate with the project. So, I'm kind of a nut when it comes to picking out plants because they literally have to vibrate in order to get to their property. So when I was younger, I didn't realize what it was. You're really funny. So I didn't realize what it was that I was doing, but like selection of plant material and stonework and that kind of stuff, I would literally put my hands out and walk across the plant material and you would feel pins and needles in your hands. And it was really kind of strange the way those things kind of I didn't realize what they were. I thought I had a pinched nerve. So, and it turns out I wasn't a pinched nerve. It was actually, I was picking up the vibrations of the materials and what was right and what was wrong. Because honestly, most of my salespeople probably wanted to murder me because I would walk a nursery for hours before I would make a purchase in order to pick out the right material. Most guys come in, they pick up their stuff in and out in 10 minutes. I'm there till 4 o'clock, I get there at 9, it's like I work there, and I guess it became annoying, but during the period of time that I was kind of scanning all those nurseries and I was retaining all this information on so many different levels. So when you get to the project, and I would probably drive customers crazy too, because when I sell 10 trees at one variety and I go and see that there's absolutely 10 other trees that are a better variety or that are new and I'll change the project. I might call the customer, sometimes I might just change it and just explain it later on because it's better for them, and it really is. So I don't have to sell a plant for what it is because when I produce it and I've picked it out, it's the right plant for your place. And I would go into a project and I will remove ground cover, I'll remove plant material, and I will simplify the project and play off of the strong points that are there. 90% of the properties here locally and in Florida and the places that I go to now, they are overdone, and after a couple of years, you can subtract 50% of what's there on the property, play off with really cool specimen pieces, add a few other things, and get a low maintenance property without all the fuss. And back in the other bubble, people spend so much money on mulch and beds and ground cover and stuff. It kind of landscape is supposed to be a place to where you entertain your family and your friends and your business associates and stuff and create curb appeal. And they just created chaos on properties. And it doesn't matter whether you're in an estate or you're in a condominium or a rooftop or in a restaurant. They just just threw money at stuff. It doesn't mean it was right. It just means that they had the money and they got a lot of depth and a lot of layers and stuff. That nobody has the time or wherewithal anymore. You'd have to have, everyone would have to have a guy like me to come in and understand how all those different pieces work together and how to trim the lines back in and keep everything divided. And, you don't realize when you're planting perennial beds, you're planting a nursery for the future. So I can come in with an established perennial bed and re-landscape another person's house with the divisions that I've made. So, it's kind of very rare to have someone like myself walk in to be able to add and incorporate the new stuff we're bringing in, along with the stuff that is on the property already. So, that's kind of an unusual thing. And most people throw it away. We repurpose a lot of the stuff that we actually do so that it saves the customer money and it works. It actually helps transition the property better. So the difference between dealing with me and dealing with your grass cutter and your other large, entity is that I truly don't look at it from a standpoint of dollars and cents in the beginning. That's the last thing I look at the end total. So I look at you, I look at your project, and I look at what I can do for you, and I look at it from an artistic standpoint, that there's so much more that goes into it, because the guy you're asking to plant a shrub is just going to dig a hole and put a shrub in the ground. That's not art, that's labor. When you hire me, you're asking me to paint you a picture and an environment in which you live in, and in which you're going to entertain your family and your friends in. And I'm going to also tell you no. I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to do something just because you want it. I'm going to argue with you sometimes. I'm going to always say to you, you have the last decision because you're my customer. But I'm going to challenge you to see it my way, and I'm going to compromise with you so you get a well-rounded project. Many contractors are afraid to do that. I don't care. So those are the things that I get involved in, and I honestly really try to work with people's colors and textures, and I really try to give them, when you're hiring me, I'm going to give you like what I see, with an overlay of what you may want, and then there's the whole, like magic that happens when you're waiting for plant material, because I don't design out of books, I can go look at pretty pictures in books, but I design out of nurseries, and what's available today. So if I have a meeting with a customer, I might visit that property 2 or 3 times before we even have a meeting, so that I can kind of get on board and load into my head, so it's less time for the customer and I to interact, because I've already seen it, and that's kind of a trick I learned a long time ago, because when you walk in cold, there's an awkwardness of the property, and there's an awkward space in trying to figure out taking it all in. But when you go there a little bit earlier, you're able to kind of get rid of that awkwardness, and you go more comfortable in the environment you're in, so it makes you a better listener. So you can absorb more of what the customer's needing to get to you, So it is funny that it's really some of the properties, because I've been doing this so long, I may have been there 2 or 3 times over the course of my career. So a lot of times locally, I know things about their properties and where things are that the realtors don't know, because they're just there to sell the property. We've been there to maintain it, and we've been there on probably 17 or 18 different phases of construction as that property evolves. So I take all that knowledge and convey that to the people that work for me and the subcontractors that I use to try to make that project and avoid problems and get further ahead and kind of attach to, and so we're not starting over reinventing the wheel. A lot of times that's just miserable. You don't even realize conduits are running on property for future, and they're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars running pipes all over the property, and then they were already there. So, and if you look sometimes, particularly on a high-end property, a lot of times that stuff is there because whoever designed it had the wherewithal for future stuff, knowing that they were going to build that, or had something in mind for the particular space. Callahan Gardens is a family business and really kind of pivots on primarily one individual who's always in the back, behind everybody in the deep recesses of the office. And that's my wife, Christina, who basically has created such amazing order for my chaos, because I always throw all of your invoices into my truck front floor and then pick through those at the end of the day. And she has taken it, putting systems in, and you get customer calls back. My vendors get paid as a result of what she does. I would do that once every 2 weeks or once a month, maybe 60 days. I may forget, maybe 90 days. It was never, ever a situation where I didn't have money. It was just a situation that I didn't know how to work those systems. So from an artist standpoint, which I've truly heard from the first time that I was an artist, not that long ago, it was difficult to understand what I did. So I didn't know what I was doing was considered art up until probably 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I had a customer look at me and tell me, and the first time I ever heard it, maybe people have told me, but I didn't really believe, I didn't have a belief in myself that that's what I did. And that really stuck, because I have a lot of respect for her, still have a lot of respect for her. Still work with her. She's an amazing woman. But she told me that but then from a family standpoint, I have both my son and my daughter working for me at this point. Gordy and Riley take care of downtown maintenance for the restaurants. And it's really cool because I don't have to worry that, you know, the job's not going to be done incorrectly or someone's going to cut a corner, you know, because they take pride, like I have taught them, you know, and they, you know, have issues and stuff, they call me on the phone and work it out. And so it's like I have, you know, 3 sets of eyes in the field, plus, you know, I have a new guy who just started, his name is Scott. You know, it's a family business, so like, you know, it's everyone who works for me becomes part of the family. It's an extension of, you know, what we do, so we all try to treat each other with a lot of respect. So my wife and my kids, they just do an amazing job of support, you know, of what we created. You know. And I want to thank you all for, you know, stopping by and checking out the show today. I really want to say thank you again to all the people that helped me to get to this point so I could actually speak to you. So, thanks again for tuning in.